Don't chase. Attract the Stoics' secret of inner value. Intro: the chase that never ends. There's a strange truth about life. The more you chase something, the faster it runs away. Love, attention, respect, success, it doesn't matter what it is. When you chase, you give away your power. You tell the world, you have what I need. But the Stoics taught us something revolutionary. What you truly need is already within you. The moment you stop running after validation, you begin to attract everything that's meant for you. So today, let's take a journey inward. A journey where you stop chasing people, approval, and perfection, and rediscover your inner worth. Scene 1. The mirror of the world. Imagine a man named Aris. He was good-hearted, hard-working, and kind, but he lived for approval. Every morning, before stepping out, he looked into the mirror and thought, will they like me today? Will I be enough? At work, he smiled too much. He said yes when he wanted to say no. He tried to please everyone. Friends, colleagues, even strangers online. Every like, every heart emoji on his post gave him a small dose of joy, and every silence felt like rejection. But with time, he noticed something painful. The more he tried to please others, the less they respected him. He was available to everyone, yet valued by none. One evening, sitting alone, he remembered a quote by Epictetus: "Is greater than, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." It hit him deeply. He realized he had been living to impress, not to express, to please, not to be at peace. And that realization broke something inside him. But sometimes, what breaks you also sets you free. Scene 2. The turning point. The next morning, Aris did something new. He stayed quiet. He didn't rush to check his phone. He didn't post. He didn't seek. He simply sat in silence. At first, it was uncomfortable. The mind screamed, "You're being ignored." But the heart whispered, "No, you're being healed." That day, he noticed the world differently. The noise outside was still there. People still shouted for attention, still competed, still compared. But for the first time, he wasn't a part of it. He was observing, not reacting. And that's when he began to attract peace. Not because the world changed, but because he changed how he saw the world. Lesson 1. The Stoic secret of attraction. The Stoics believe that what we chase, we push away. Desperation repels. Calmness attracts. When you no longer need external validation, you become magnetic because you are whole. People sense your peace. They feel your grounded energy. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Is greater than." The more tranquil a man becomes, the greater is his success, his influence, his power for good. This is the paradox. You stop chasing, and suddenly, life starts coming to you. You detach, and suddenly, what's right begins to find you. Scene 3. The social mirror. Let's talk about today's world. We live in a time where chasing is normal. People chase followers, fame, likes, money, beauty, and validation. Every scroll tells you, you're not enough yet. And so we run. We run faster, harder, emptier. We fill the silence with noise and call it progress. But behind every fake smile, there's exhaustion. Behind every post, there's a question. Am I seen? Am I loved? The Stoics would call this slavery. Not physical slavery, but emotional one. When your peace depends on someone's attention, you've handed over your freedom. Lesson 2. The power of inner value. Seneca once wrote, "Is greater than, he who is brave is free." Freedom begins when you stop needing to be noticed. When you do what's right, even if no one claps. When you walk alone, yet feel complete. Because the truth is, no one can give you value People can only reflect what you already believe about yourself. If you think you're unworthy, the world will agree. If you believe you're enough, the world adjusts to that energy. That's the Stoic way, not arrogance, but alignment. Scene 4. The shift within. Eris began to live differently. He spoke less. He moved slower. He stopped explaining himself. When people left, he didn't chase. When people doubted, he didn't defend. He simply said, "Time will show." He began focusing on what he could control. His thoughts, his actions, his reactions. He stopped seeking to be liked and started seeking to be real. And soon, something beautiful happened. The right people began to stay. Not because he begged, but because he became peace itself. He no longer attracted chaos, because he no longer carried chaos within. Lesson 3. Attraction through stillness. In the Stoic sense, attraction isn't about looks or charm. It's about energy. When your mind is calm, when you're not desperate to be seen, you radiate quiet confidence. People can feel it. They trust it. Because it's rare. We are drawn not to those who talk the loudest, but to those who listen the deepest. Not to those who beg for attention, but to those who already have their own light. And that's what Stoicism teaches. Your inner world shapes your outer reality. When you stop chasing, you stop scattering your power. And when you stop scattering your power, you become unstoppable. Scene 5. The still mind. Eris learned to meditate on silence. Every morning, he sat still, watching his thoughts pass like clouds. No fighting, no forcing, just allowing. Over time, he realized something profound. Peace was never outside. It was always there, beneath the noise. He just needed to stop chasing long enough to hear it. That's what Stoic detachment truly means. Not indifference, but inner independence. Lesson 4. Self-respect is the root of attraction. Epictetus said, "Is greater than. No man is free who is not master of himself." You master yourself when you stop begging for what's already yours. Love, respect, validation, peace. Every time you beg, you tell yourself you don't have it. But when you stand still, when you hold your ground, the universe mirrors your stillness. Opportunities come. People respect you. Love finds you naturally because you are no longer chasing it. Scene 6. The world notices. Months later, Eris's life began to shift. He didn't change his looks, his job, or his circle. He changed his vibration. People started coming to him for advice. They said he had something peaceful about him. They listened when he spoke, because he no longer spoke from need, but from truth. That's the power of not chasing. That's what true attraction is. The more you value yourself, the more the world values you. Conclusion: be still, not desperate. So ask yourself, what are you chasing today? Who are you giving your energy to? What peace are you trading for approval? Pause, take a breath, and remember this: you don't need to chase what's already yours. If it's meant for you, it will align with your peace, not disturb it. If it demands your desperation, it's not love, it's attachment. You attract what you are ready for. So be ready by being still, by being calm, by being enough. Outro. You don't have to shout for attention. You don't have to prove your worth. You just have to remember, you already are what you've been searching for. Be still, not desperate. Attract through peace, not pursuit. And as always, subscribe for timeless Stoic lessons. Subscribe for daily Stoic wisdom. Part 2. Don't chase. Attract. The Stoic secret of inner value. The next morning, Ethan woke up before sunrise. His eyes were swollen, but his heart was oddly quiet. The chaos of yesterday still echoed her words. The silence afterward. The feeling of being not enough. He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at his phone. No new messages. For a moment, he felt the familiar pull, the urge to check her profile, to see if she posted something, to scroll endlessly searching for meaning in her silence. But then he stopped. He remembered something he read from Marcus Aurelius the night before. Is greater than, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Ethan whispered to himself, power over my mind. He took a deep breath and put the phone down. That simple act, not checking, was the first battle he won. Scene 2. The mirror test. Later that day, he stood in front of the mirror. He stared at himself, not with pride or hate, but curiosity. Who am I? He thought. When no one is watching, when no one praises me, when no one texts me good morning or good night. The silence was heavy, but in that silence, a strange realization surfaced. All his life, Ethan had been chasing approval, likes, comments, love, attention. But not once had he stopped to ask, what happens if I stop chasing? He smiled faintly. Maybe that's when I finally meet myself. Lesson 1. Stop running after shadows. The Stoics often warn that chasing external things, wealth, fame, affection, is like running after shadows. The more you run, the further they seem. Seneca said, is greater than, he who is contented with what he has is rich. When you stop chasing, you begin to attract, not because of arrogance, but because your stillness has power. People sense peace. They sense confidence. They sense someone who doesn't need the world to tell them who they are. Scene 3. The empty cafe. That afternoon, Ethan sat in a small cafe near his office. The same cafe where he once waited for hours just to see her. But today, he wasn't waiting for anyone. He opened a book instead, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. Each page felt like a quiet conversation between two souls who understood pain but refused to let it define them. One line caught his eye. Is greater than, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Ethan underlined it slowly. He realized he had been pretending for too long. Pretending to be happy. Pretending to be perfect. Pretending to be someone worthy of love. But the truth was, he didn't need to be perfect. He just needed to be present. Real, honest, grounded. Scene 4. The shift. A week passed. He didn't call her. He didn't text her. At first, it was hard, like quitting an addiction. But slowly, his mind started to breathe again. He began journaling, exercising, reading more. Each morning, he repeated one Stoic affirmation, is greater than, I don't chase what runs away. I attract what belongs to me by becoming who I'm meant to be. And something unexpected happened. He started to glow. Not the kind of glow that comes from validation, but from inner peace. His colleagues noticed. Ethan, you look different, one said. Yeah, another laughed. You finally stopped worrying. Ethan smiled, not proudly, but peacefully. He had learned that quiet confidence needs no announcement. Lesson 2. Stillness is magnetic. The Stoics believed that the calm mind is the strongest magnet for peace, respect, and opportunity. When you stop forcing outcomes, the right ones naturally align. When you stop begging for love, self-respect grows. When you stop chasing validation, you become valuable effortlessly. Silence and stillness don't mean inaction. They mean controlled power, the kind that comes from knowing your worth. Scene 5. The return. 2 months later, he received a message. It was from her. Hey, I've been thinking about you lately. How are you? For a moment, his heart raced. The old Ethan would have replied instantly. Excited, desperate, eager. But this Ethan smiled. He placed the phone down, took a deep breath, and whispered, I'm good. He didn't text back. not because he was angry, but because he had finally learned what peace feels like. Lesson 3. Value yourself enough to walk away. Stoicism teaches us to act from strength, not from need. Love deeply, yes, but never lose yourself in the process. To love without attachment is not coldness, it's clarity. It's understanding that love is not meant to complete you, but to complement you. And when someone leaves, it doesn't mean you're unworthy. It simply means your story with them reached its purpose. Closing reflection. Ethan's story is the story of all of us. We chase, we cling, we confuse attention with love. But one day, we realize the world runs after those who have stopped running. Because true strength is quiet, true confidence is humble, and true love both for others and yourself doesn't need to be chased. As Seneca said, is greater than no man is free who is not master of himself. So be the master of your emotions. Be the calm in the storm. And remember, you attract what reflects your inner peace. Soft instrumental, ultra music fades in. Be still, not desperate. Attract, don't chase. You are already enough. Outro. If this message touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And for more timeless Stoic lessons, subscribe to Daily Stoic Wisdom. Part 3. Don't chase. Attract. The Stoic Secret of Inner Value. Scene 1. The Stillness Test. Months passed. Ethan had stopped running not just after people, but after every kind of external noise. He still worked the same job, walked the same streets, met the same faces, but everything felt different. There was no longer a hunger in his eyes to prove, to please, or to be seen. Now, there was stillness, a kind of quiet power that comes when you stop trying so hard. One morning as he walked to work, a colleague ran up beside him. "Ethan," he said, "they're considering you for team lead. You should talk to the manager and make your case." Ethan smiled. "If I deserve it, it'll come." His colleague frowned. "That's risky, man. You need to chase opportunities." Ethan shook his head gently. "No. You need to prepare for them, not chase them. That's the difference. Chasing is desperation. Preparation is confidence. And Ethan had learned the universe listens to the calm, not the chaotic. Lesson 1. You don't need to force what flows naturally. The Stoics taught that the wise don't beg the river to flow faster, they learn to sail with its current. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Is greater than accept whatever comes to you woven in the pattern of your destiny, for what could more aptly fit your needs." When you stop forcing outcomes, you begin to attract what belongs to your path. Because peace makes you magnetic. It's not passivity, it's alignment. The calm person doesn't stop moving, they just move intelligently. Scene 2. The Unexpected Call. One Friday afternoon, Ethan received a call. A new company wanted to interview him. They'd seen his quiet consistency online and admired his thoughtfulness in forums where he often shared Stoic quotes. He didn't apply for it. He didn't chase it. It found him. At the interview, one of the panelists said, "We noticed something about you. You don't oversell yourself. You just seem grounded, calm." Ethan smiled. "That's what I've been practicing." They hired him the same week. That night, as he sat on his balcony watching the city lights, he whispered to himself, "When I stopped chasing what wasn't mine, what was mine came quietly." Lesson 2. What you seek is often seeking you, but only when you're ready. Stoicism isn't about giving up, it's about giving up the neediness that blinds your judgment. When you stop being consumed by the desire to control everything, life starts to unfold naturally. You attract what reflects your internal balance. Epictetus said, "Is greater than. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. And that's the secret. Stop chasing what's not yours to control. Your job is to build yourself so completely that what's meant for you recognizes you immediately. Scene 3. The return of the old flame. A few months later, Ethan received another message from her. This time, it was different. She wrote, "Is greater than, you've changed. You seem peaceful. I don't know why, but I miss that calm energy around you." He read it slowly. No rush, no reaction. He smiled, because for the first time, he realized she wasn't missing him. She was missing the peace that he had found within himself. And that peace was never hers to own. It was his all along. Ethan didn't reply. He simply closed the chat, looked up at the night sky, and whispered, "Thank you for teaching me who I used to be." Lesson 3. When you heal, you outgrow. What hurt you? The Stoics taught that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. What once broke you becomes irrelevant when you've learned the lesson. The old Ethan needed validation. The new Ethan radiated self-respect. When you grow in awareness, your energy changes, and so does what you attract. You no longer beg to be seen, because you see yourself. Seneca said, "Is greater than, he who conquers himself is the mightiest warrior." And that's the truth. Peace is a battle, but it's fought within. Scene 4. The mentor's wisdom. One day, Ethan visited an old philosophy professor who had once inspired him to read Stoicism. They sat under a tree in the park, the afternoon sun soft and golden. The professor asked, "So, Ethan, have you found what you were chasing?" Ethan chuckled. "I stopped chasing. That's how I found it." The old man smiled. "Ah, so you finally learned that peace doesn't come when you have more. It comes when you need less." They sat in silence for a while. Then Ethan asked, "But how do I keep this peace? What if I lose it again?" The professor replied softly, "You don't keep peace. You practice it every day. It's like breathing stop, and you start suffocating." That hit deep. Because peace wasn't a goal anymore, it was a habit. Lesson 4. Peace is a daily practice, not a destination. You don't become unshakable overnight. It's a slow process of awareness, restraint, and emotional discipline. Every day, life will test your stillness, people will provoke you, situations will challenge you, emotions will rise. But if you pause, breathe, and respond, instead of reacting, you win. That's the Stoic path. Power in silence, wisdom in waiting, peace in patience. Scene 5. The circle of life. Years later, Ethan became known at work, not just for his skill, but for his calm nature. People often came to him for advice, not because he spoke the most, but because when he did, it mattered. He had become what he once sought: peaceful, respected, and centered. Not because life got easier, but because he learned not to be ruled by it. One day, as he left the office, he looked at his reflection in the window and thought, "The boy who used to chase love became the man who attracts peace." Final lesson. True attraction comes from stillness, not striving. The Stoics never said, "Don't desire." They said, "Don't depend. Desire wisely. Love deeply, but stay grounded in your worth." Because when your peace is your priority, everything else becomes optional. Don't attract by chasing, you attract by becoming. Outro. Thank you for watching. If this story touched your soul, take a deep breath and remember, calm minds create powerful lives. Subscribe to Daily Stoic Wisdom for more lessons that help you master peace in a noisy world. Part 4. Don't chase, attract. The Stoic secret of inner value. Scene 1. The quiet transformation. Years went by. Ethan didn't just change his habits, he changed his energy. The people around him noticed it long before he did. He was no longer restless, no longer overthinking every message, every silence, every delay. He had learned that not everything requires your reaction. When a friend ignored him, he wished them well. When a plan fell apart, he smiled and said, "Maybe it wasn't meant for me." When an opportunity passed, he trusted that another one would come. Because life always gives you what you're ready for. And he was finally ready for peace. One afternoon, his new coworker asked, "Ethan, how are you always so calm? Don't things ever bother you?" He smiled. "They do. I just stopped giving them permission to control me." Lesson 1. Power is energy you don't waste. The Stoics believe that peace is a form of power, the power to choose your response. Most people waste their strength reacting to every minor thing. But the wise conserve it, channel it, and use it intentionally. Epictetus once said, "Is greater than, no man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom isn't about doing whatever you want. It's about not being disturbed by what you don't want. When you stop giving your peace away, for cheap life begins to respect you differently. Scene 2. The return of the crowd. Ethan's calmness had become magnetic. People who once overlooked him now sought his presence not for entertainment, but for energy. His quiet confidence began to speak louder than his words ever could. At gatherings, people listened when he finally spoke, because silence had made his words rare. He didn't chase validation anymore. He had become validation for others. And that's the irony of life. The moment you stop trying to impress, you naturally inspire. Lesson 2. Stillness is the new strength. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Is greater than, be tolerant with others and strict with yourself." The calm mind sees what the anxious one cannot. It notices patterns, understands emotions, and chooses timing wisely. Stillness doesn't mean weakness, it means control. When the world rushes, the calm one wins by clarity. Because the calm person doesn't move first, they move right. Scene 3. The storm test. But peace isn't permanent, it's a discipline. One day, Ethan's company faced a crisis. Deadlines failed, clients complained, and pressure mounted. Everyone panicked, shouting, blaming, defending. Ethan stayed quiet. He analyzed the situation calmly, made a list, and started solving one problem at a time. When his boss stormed into the room yelling, "Doesn't this stress you at all?" Ethan looked up and said softly, "Stress solves nothing. Focus does." The room went silent. That moment everyone saw what real leadership looks like. Not loud, not flashy, just centered. Lesson 3. In case, calm is command. Stoic wisdom teaches, is greater than, the obstacle is the way. Challenges don't destroy you. They define your level of inner mastery. Anyone can look wise when life is easy. True character appears when the storm hits and you remain steady. The calm person doesn't avoid storms, they navigate them. Because they know, the sky always clears. Scene 4. The philosophy of attraction. One evening, Ethan journaled something he had started doing after reading Marcus Aurelius's Meditations. He wrote, "Is greater than, everything I once chased was a mirror of my inner void. But when I filled that void with peace, purpose, and gratitude, the same things started finding their way back to me." He realized the law of attraction isn't about begging the universe. It's about becoming the kind of person your desired life naturally gravitates toward. The Stoic doesn't chase attention. He becomes worthy of it. He doesn't demand love. He becomes love in action. He doesn't seek luck. He prepares for opportunity. That's what "don't chase, attract" truly means. Scene 5. The final encounter. Years later, Ethan met his old flame again by chance. They talked for a while. She was still kind, still beautiful, but he no longer felt the old attachment. She said quietly, "You've changed so much. You're peaceful." He smiled. "That's what I was chasing all along, peace. I just didn't know it back then." As they parted, there was no bitterness, no regret, just gratitude. Because the greatest love story wasn't between him and her, it was between him and his own soul. Lesson 4. The ultimate freedom is inner peace. Seneca said, is greater than, he who is brave is free. And what is bravery, if not the courage to let go? Let go of needing people to understand you. Let go of chasing validation. Let go of proving your worth. When you do, you stop living from fear and start living from power. The Stoic doesn't run after life. He walks with it calm, steady, and sure of his direction. Scene 6. The legacy of stillness. Ethan became a quiet mentor to many. Not because he had all the answers, but because he had peace in a world that thrived on noise. His journey was never about success or recognition. It was about self-mastery. He had discovered that when you master your emotions, everything else aligns naturally. No chasing, no forcing, just flowing. And as he sat by the window one last time, watching the sunset, he whispered to himself, attract what you are, become what you seek, and let peace lead the way. Final Stoic reflection. You attract peace by being peaceful. You attract love by being love. You attract respect by respecting yourself. Don't chase outcomes aligned with values. Don't demand control, build inner stability. Don't seek applause, seek truth. And the moment you stop running, life starts walking toward you. Outro. In a noisy world, silence is strength. In a desperate world, stillness is power. You don't need to chase what's already meant for you. You only need to become ready for it. If this story touched your heart, remember, peace is not found, it's built, and it begins with you. Subscribe to Daily Stoic Wisdom for more stories that strengthen your soul and steady your mind.